Hi everyone, we are decorating a basic cake today. I'll start by preparing some syrup. For that I need water and I'm going to be using icing sugar, though you can use the usual sugar that you use for your tea. No problem with that. The whole idea is to have sweetness in your syrup. I'll just stir that constantly to stop it from crystallizing around the edges. Once it's boiled, I'm going to add my essence and a little bit of lemon juice, freshly squeezed. I keep stirring that until I have the consistency that I need, not too thick, but at the same time light enough to flow. I'm going to be using iced water or chilled water. Pour that into a basin. And then get my pot in there. You can use a bowl. Actually, you should be using a bowl. I just don't have the right size. And this is the whipping cream I'm using. I'll just pour that in there. It's also chilled. The reason I'm using the chilled water underneath the pot is to keep the cream cold. That way I'm able to whisk it faster because I'm doing this manually. I'm also going to be adding icing sugar, which is optional because the cream itself is tasty enough as it is, but I like to have a little extra sweetness. That's why I'm adding some in mine. So I'm just going to stir that first before I begin to whisk it. Once everything is dissolved, I can begin to whisk. I usually whisk using 2 hands. I pretty much use the same motion used to start a fire using sticks. I find that makes it a lot easier than just whisking using 1 hand all the way through to the end. This is the motion I use. Just rub my hands together with the handle in between and it gets me really fast results. You can see it's already nice and thick, but not yet there because it's still flowing. We don't want it flowing at all. I'm just adding a little color over there to create a very pale shade of green. And I keep whisking. That is the movement I'm using. You can see my hands there, just pretty much the same way you would do when you're rubbing your hands together, except now we have the handle of the whisk in between. It works really fast. You can see my cream is already thick. And we're after soft peaks, waiting for a stage where it can hold its shape like here. I had already wrapped and chilled my cake pieces. This is just one cake. I sliced it. One of them is the dome, so I'll start with the flat one. Place it over a few drops of the cereal that will serve as a glue to stop it from sliding back and forth against the board. Then I'm going to be adding some syrup on top of the piece that I've placed on the board. Saturate it and then add some cream on top. That's to give it that melt in your mouth quality that you find in the yummy cakes you've come across so far. I like to use a very generous amount of cream, which is what I'm doing right now. Once I've added that, I'll just use a basic butter knife to spread it out. The next piece I'll be working on is the one that had the dome shape. This is it. I'll slice it to make it as close to what I want it to be as possible. And then I'll set aside the remaining piece. I'll show you what to do with it in a few. I'll place the piece that is closest to what I'm after on top of the other one. Same procedure, saturate it with the syrup. Just like that. I'm clearly trying to get in as much syrup as I possibly can. Follow that through with the cream just like we did the first time. And then spread it with a butter knife once more. Once that is done, I'll stack the final piece over it and repeat the procedure. Syrup once again. I'm just making sure it's well soaked, nice and moist. Now for the remaining piece, I'm just going to cut it into small pieces. Trying to create some crumbs here, though it's a little too moist to just break apart. Then I'm going to pour in my syrup and mix. This is what it looks like. And finally, a little bit of my cream to serve as the glue to hold it all together and help it stick to the cake. I'm going to mix that, and once it's ready, I'll use it to fill in all the parts that have a gap. Remember, the middle section isn't a complete cylinder shape, so I'm going to fill that up so that I have a completely straight edge all around. This also comes in handy in case you find that your cake isn't level at the top. You can just lift one of the slices a little bit and add such pieces, and it's going to become nice and level. So this is what it looks like when it's smoothened out, and I'll proceed to cover the whole cake with the icing. Starting from the top, that's what I usually do, and then I just let it overflow from the edges so that it's the overflow that I'll spread around the way you see me doing here, covering it all around. When your cake is moist, you don't need to rip off the sides. It's usually soft all the way inside, so that's why I haven't done that, in case you're wondering. Just get that as smooth as possible. Still working just with the butter knife, sorry. I'm doing a second coat over here. After chilling the first, it usually helps to make it stable. Same procedure as before. Just let that overflow from the top and then smoothen it out on the sides. I'm not too worried about the one that is flowing onto the board because I'll be covering that section as well. So I'm just working to cover all the sides as well as the top and make it as smooth as I possibly can. It's easier if you're able to turn your cake around the way I'm doing right now, though I'm not using a turntable. So I'll proceed to write the message. I'm writing with whipped cream, by the way. I have never done this before. I just thought, why not? Otherwise, you can always use royal icing. I've actually posted a video on that before. I'll leave a link in the description box below. Have a look, try it out, and write in the comment section what you think about that. You can also write what you think about this. Make a request, let me know what you'd like to see. So this is just whipping cream. I had to make sure that it's flowing, not too runny though. That's how it's able to retain the shapes of the letters. And then I'm going to go in with my improvised piping bag. I'm holding the bag with a cloth just to make sure my body temperature isn't moving over to the icing, because that will make it soft and it will begin to run. It's not going to be able to hold its shape. Just do this all the way around and repeat the process for the bottom section. That's why I said I'm not too worried about the cream that's getting onto the cake board, because I usually cover this part up. And when you're using the kind of icing that isn't too sweet, this is actually perfectly fine, especially for kids who like to lick the extra cream. This will not cause any sore throat. Thank you so much for watching this video. Share it and subscribe if you haven't done so. Bye.